I'm a happy visitor to Prague, second time in my life, and I'm here as part of this, my new book. Came out just a couple of months ago, brand new in Prague, and it's really a sequel to my first book. The first book was called Insanely Simple, and it was about Steve Jobs and Apple and my experience with Steve. I noticed the power of simplicity was a very awesome thing. I think it's the most powerful force in business. This new book is about how other companies are using the power of simplicity. So I went around the world and I talked to 40 business leaders, many CEOs and other leaders in many different industries to get their perspective on the value of simplicity and then how do they implement it in their companies. In the case of small companies, how they keep things simple. In the case of big, complicated companies, how they have found ways to simplify. What do they do to keep things simple as they get more and more successful? At the core of any great business is a great idea, and it doesn't matter if you're simplifying a bad idea. You still need a good idea. A great idea can come from absolutely anywhere. So I think the world is so much more open to ideas from untraditional places. But the problem is, or the challenge is, they have to be really good ideas. I think people get caught up in what they believe, and you have to have this ability to stand back and be very objective about what the world really wants or needs. And again, a great Steve Jobs thing, he was a master at sensing what human beings would want in their lives. When you have great focus and a clear mission and your values are very well defined and all of that is part of your culture, it makes things simpler. You don't have to say, hey, let's be simple. When you get a whole company focused on something and passionate about something, that's what creates the culture, and it sort of feeds on itself, and new people come in and they make it even stronger. So once it gets going, it's a fantastic thing. And Yannis told me some great stories about just organizing the company internally and how they expanded and they brought in a certain kind of people and they were more like big companies, and suddenly Kofala was working more like a big company and it didn't seem as creative, and so he was able to step back and say, no, we're not doing that anymore. We're going to go back to the previous way because we have to keep the spirit of this company intact, and all that passion shouldn't be so efficient. It seemed like big company thinking was, how do we make this efficient? And that was sort of killing creativity. So the fact that Yannis was able to step back and see that and be able to sort of reinforce what made Kofala special, I thought was a good lesson for other businesses. Ron Johnson was a very big contributor to my book. He's the person Steve Jobs brought in to help conceive and create the Apple stores, which over the next 11 years after Ron joined would become 350 stores around the world. Now it's over 400. But they, Ron tells the story about how important simplicity was in the creation of the store, of coming up with a mission that would basically be the guideline for every decision that was made at the Apple stores. And the line they used was enhance lives. Every decision they made, from the location of the stores, where it could enhance lives the best, because you had to be near people, to the layout of the store and the way they offered help and everything. And it extended to the hiring. We want to hire only people who want to help other people enhance their lives. So it was this sort of measuring stick for every decision that was made. And it's this cornerstone of simplicity is having a concept that lets everyone focus, and so even when the boss isn't making the decision, people can sort of hold it up to the same measure, and there'd be a lot of more consistency, and everything sort of all aims together toward the goal. It's always interesting to me that even a company like Apple can sometimes base its actions on such simple ideas, and they're not overthinking and not overanalyzing. I think that was Steve Jobs' great talent, was being able to focus everyone and not let committees distract and multiple layers of processes. He was able to sort of cut all of that out when he came back to Apple, and make sure everybody understood the mission. They could focus on the mission. Apple's values were clear. Those values would influence decisions and behaviors, and the company could act more as one, which is the essence of simplicity.